Donald Trump has broken the emoluments clause more times than you can count. He's turned the presidency of the United States into the bully pulpit for white supremacy. He's defied court orders and has openly taken bribes for access and pardons. In fact, even as I report on this, the New York Times is posting on another bribe for pardon, that Paul Walsac has been pardoned because his mother kicked in $1 million to support Trump. But only now Trump is becoming afraid of impeachment. The illegal operations of Doge alone should have gotten him kicked out of office, but now he's worried. And what I listed doesn't even scratch the surface of all the illegality. Toss on top of that the dumbass stuff he does, like the speech at West Point.
Trophy one. It didn't work out too well, but that doesn't work out too well. I must tell you, a lot of trophy wives doesn't work out. But it made him happy for a little while at least. But he found a new wife. He sold his little boat and he got a big yacht. He had one of the biggest yachts anywhere in the world. He moved for a time to Monte Carlo and he led the good life. And time went by and he got bored.
And even worse than the trophy wives speech was Trump lying right to the cadets' faces that he couldn't shake their hands because he had something to do with Putin, but instead he headed straight to the golf course. So of course he should be worried about impeachment. And that's on top of not having all of his marbles.
We're going to have a big celebration, as you know, 250 years. In some ways, I'm glad I missed that second term where it was, because I wouldn't be your president for that most important of all. In addition, we have the World Cup and we have the Olympics. Can you imagine? I missed that 4 years, and now look what I have. I have everything. Amazing the way things work out. God did that. I believe that too. God did it.
So rule number one in the Trump White House is that no one is allowed to give the boss bad news. But Trump already knows that it's unlikely the Republicans will control the House in 2026. And that's putting it mildly. Midterms in 2026 are looking like they are going to be a blue tsunami. Democrats won an election in Wisconsin despite Elon Musk spending over $20 million. And in 2 Florida special elections, Republicans in strong red districts had their leads cut in half. And that's despite the DNC, not because of their help. Trump knows if and when the House goes to the Democrats, he's going to face impeachment. And so he's already taking steps to avoid it. Axio is reporting that the GOP has created a 5-point plan to keep Trump in office. And the first point is that Trump is going to try and prevent as many House Republicans as possible from leaving to run for Senate or their state's governorship. According to this report, Trump's team is concerned about lawmakers like Representative Mike Lawler of New York and Representative Bill Huizenga from Michigan jumping ship for higher office. Well, I got news for the RNC. You don't have to worry about 2 representatives that are going to jump ship. What you have to worry about are people running for re-election getting trounced. But then their plan calls for Trump to employ his $500 million war chest for ad buys for other campaigns and to spread the word about the importance of keeping the House in Republican hands, and for doing what he can to stop primary challengers from taking on established GOP lawmakers. And that's the part you have to laugh about. Trump give up his own money? That's just not going to happen. Even if advisors did tell him. Big advisors, strong advisors, with tears in their eyes. And they said, "Sir, the law says you can't convert campaign money into personal money." Trump would just find someone who would tell him he could, and then spend the next 5 years fighting it out in court. So if Republicans are planning on Trump to save them with his money, good luck with that. Raise money, on the other hand, yes. Trump is willing to do that. And that's another point in their plan. So have Trump leave the Oval Office, go out in front of a crowd. Sure. But did you see his crowds on the campaign trail? Not exactly inspiring. And Trump sure doesn't have as many farmers supporting him as he used to. That's for sure. So even though the GOP thinks their 5-point plan is going to prevent impeachment, it's based on a flawed premise that they can hold the House and the Senate. And I don't think they're going to hold either of them. But the biggest concern is not some little 5-point plan. It's what does Trump do when it's obvious that there's going to be a blue tsunami in November 2026? He's going to declare martial law. That's what he's going to do. And the question is, how are Democrats planning and organizing to counter that? Who's leading? Who's in charge? And who is planning for this? If Pete Buttigieg or Kamala Harris really want to be president, they should start by taking the lead on this now, because it'll be too late when it happens. Reporting from Rome, I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.